So this is the scene here right behind me. People are still here trying to clean up the area. If you turn over this way, Lewis, you can see that people are over here still fixing some of the damage. This is some of the debris and some of the aftermath from after Helene and the floods came through this way. So we are going to be here for the next couple of days monitoring what they're doing here. President Biden is expected to be here tomorrow.
Robert Hunter Biden arrived to this federal court here in Los Angeles and left without making a public appearance. It was a 32-minute federal arraignment, and just minutes before the hearing, Hunter Biden appeared relaxed.
The dry conditions continue. It'll be north of 100 degrees again tomorrow here, so very fire-friendly conditions in this neck of the woods.
National correspondent James Packer joins us now live on the scene in Los Angeles. James, thanks for being outside for us with this, because I know it is hot where you are.
Yeah, Chris, luckily it's still early, so the sun has some time still to heat up the ground and bake this region of the country.
Tell me, how are things for you, for your business, for your home?
It's pretty devastating down here. The River Arts District has been hit very, very hard, and I think it's going to be difficult for a lot of us to recover from this, if we even can. But most of our many galleries have been destroyed, people's homes, of course, too.
This is what's happening here at the Park Fire right now in Northern California, where it's become the state's 5th largest fire in history. And we are with CAL FIRE to see what they are doing to help stop this from growing even bigger.
We have always tried to look out for one another. Driving through here, nothing is the same.
So we're heading into Fairview. We were told that there's a center there for people who need help, resources, but we're driving on what used to be a road.
This is Fairview, North Carolina, decimated by Helene and many buildings taken out by heavy rain and mudslides. In these mountains, there are aching hearts, like this family having to drive by their mother's car in ruins after telling us she lost her life in the storm.
Right there at the Fairview Fire Department, we toted a little bridge down a bank, like a dude had built like a little wooden bridge and set it across the creek so then people could get back and forth.
There are many out here willing to help anyone, but we heard of a sanctuary of sorts where the community came together.
So we brought a bunch of hand tools. We can do something for somebody, we'll do it.
How far down the road was that?
Not far at all. Yeah, maybe a mile and a half, maybe.
You guys mind maybe taking us that way really quick?
That's fine, if that's what you want to do, man.
All right, so we got into a roadblock where the water got too deep. So we decided to roll with these gentlemen who are driving around this area to see if anybody needs help. They've helped a couple people. We're just gonna continue forward and see what people are doing to help each other.
I can tell you that this is probably the strongest community I've ever lived in. I mean, these people would literally die for me, I think.
They thawed it out, so we got to cook it. Barbecue chicken coming up.
And what you'll find out here is that these people are of these mountains. They're not leaving. And so to have this here, this is salvation.
At the Nesbitt Chapel,
Eat, you want some chili?
hope was created by people like Bethany Phillips, Sam Rodas, and her husband.
We just kind of started coming together, and as people were coming through, it was, well, what can we do? And neighbors just started bringing in food. We had to cook it. We just became a hot spot out of not even meaning to.
Many people sharing the same story as Sam's.
We lost our RV that we're living in. We lost our 2 vehicles and our motorcycle. And I mean, we lost everything. My husband and I and our dog got out, and that's about it. Some of the locals that are here with us today with a little boat, and they strung up a canoe with a pulley line and they rescued us.
Food, water, gas, and internet, all available here. Some leave the area to look for lost loved ones, and others search for medicine for those in need.
They're still out working on getting the roads ready so that we can get, people out of here.
Those in Fairview hope they can find comfort in what they've gained after losing so much together.
To have this means that we can rebuild this community, and it'll probably be way stronger. And honestly, we're probably not going to leave.
Thomas Hoppo, Scripps News, Fairview, North Carolina.
Of the thousands of migrants who arrive into the U.S. through the southwest border, there are some who retreat further into the shadows, but hope America will accept them.
¿Por qué vienes a los Estados Unidos?
Porque como se abrieron las puertas acá de mucha gente, todo el mundo comentó.
They hide in fear, fleeing violence, organized crime.
La extorsión y vinieron mafias a Ecuador. Ecuador era un país tranquilo. Pero de la noche a la mañana se dañó.
And also discrimination. Cindy Morillo, a 49-year-old hairstylist from Ecuador, and his friends say gangsters targeted them because he's gay and she's trans. Morillo explains they sold a car to fund their trip, leaving their hair salon business behind. This 23-year-old man from Colombia also fled.
¿Por qué vienes a los Estados Unidos?
Discriminación.
¿Cuál tipo?
De LGTBI.
Su identidad.
Sí, exacto.
Julian says police ignore brazen violence against gay men in his home country or even commit it themselves.
¿Tienes miedo contra qué? Discriminación.
I asked him who he's afraid of. He tells me groups that discriminate against him physically and psychologically.
Con los grupos que me discriminan físicamente y psicológicamente.
Julian found other gay men on the road from the jungle crossing in Panama to the U.S. border. Numbers meant protection. We met him in the high California desert east of San Diego, waiting for the Border Patrol to process him with an immigration court notice.
On the other side of the Bollard Line is California, the United States. That's why so many LGBTQ migrants come here to Tijuana, why there are so many shelters friendly to them here. It's because they're here to pass through on the promise of inclusivity and safety on the other side.
LGBTQ status alone does not qualify someone to win asylum in the U.S., but persecution because of it may be taken under consideration.
Tijuana tiene muy buenos vecinos del otro lado. Tenemos como vecino a California, ¿no? Que es un estado que históricamente ha sido muy abierto a los derechos de nuestra comunidad.
At Casa de Arcoiris, which translates into Rainbow House, LGBTQ people who have hid their true selves as a means of survival can be comfortably open. Director Andrea Gonzalez Vera says most shelters do not consider the specific needs of the LGBTQ community.
Lo que nosotros ofrecemos es un acompañamiento integral en términos de servicios médicos de salud, salud mental, ofrecemos asistencia legal, todo esto en coordinación con otras organizaciones que nos prestan apoyo para otorgar estos servicios, ¿no? La alimentación, el alojamiento, actividades culturales, educacionales.
People like Allison Campbell, a trans woman from Guatemala.
En mi país enfrenté discriminación, primero por mi color de piel, también discriminación por mi inclinación sexual y discriminación pues, por ser una chica trans. 3 clases de discriminaciones.
She described the abuse she endured back home, including being stripped, berated, and beaten by police.
A querer llevarnos a la cárcel solo por el simple hecho de nuestra inclinación sexual y por ser como ser. Sin ningún motivo.
The United Nations says the life expectancy for trans people in Central America is no more than 35. And just because LGBTQ people have come this close to the U.S. doesn't mean they're out of danger in Mexico.
The machismo, the gender-based violence, the homophobia, the transphobia, the violence against their community by police and other armed forces, they all exist here. And in fact, they are, in some instances, stronger. Mexico is known as the second most dangerous country in the world for transgender women.
Human rights attorney Nicole Ramos says it's hard to find data on this community because many are in hiding.
They need to take additional precautions for their safety, not only just for the homophobia and transphobia that exists in Mexican society and abuse by police and armed forces that I mentioned, but also it makes them more vulnerable to be trafficked by organized crime and to force them into some kind of sex trafficking or labor trafficking situation.
The LGBTQ aid organization Rainbow Railroad tells us since 2017, more than 900 people from Latin America have asked it to help them escape violence and persecution.
Tengo una amiga de hace muchos años que vivimos la misma situación y qué bien que ella ya tiene legalizado allí su documentación, entonces ella me va a recibir junto con el esposo.
Allison has waited 4.5 months for an appointment to declare asylum at a port of entry. She hopes she can join her trans friend on the other side soon, as her own family disowned her. John Moan, Scripps News, Tijuana, Mexico.
Boxing is a sport some might associate with violence, but this studio we're in right here in Philadelphia is using boxing as a way to keep kids away from violence.
To get an idea of a city and its people, all you need to do is listen to its heartbeat. And in Philadelphia, you don't need to go far to understand it's a city full of fighters.
1, 2. 1, 2, slip right in them. Back under. 2 jabs right hand. Life is about really getting back up and pushing forward. If somebody punch you, what do you do about it? 2, 3.
7 days a week, Malik Jackson teaches the art of boxing to adults in his gym in the Northern Liberties neighborhood of the city. But on 2 of those days,
how you feeling? Good. Get your exercises in.
Malik takes a step back to teach the 150 kids that also come to his gym the art of fighting, or in his words, perseverance.
For me, boxing has always been a vehicle for me to move through my hardships and my issues. As I come from the inner city of America, a traditional upbringing, so these things is not cultivated. And we use sports to garner discipline and structure and understand life.
Today, kids and teens across the United States are more likely to die by guns than any other cause. Between 2019 and 2021, gun deaths among kids rose 50% as they surpassed car accidents for the first time in history. But in the inner city, that has been the case for nearly 2 decades, as gun violence has been the leading cause of death among black children since 2006.
Around my neighborhood, there was a lot of violence and crime and stuff.
Aaron Taylor grew up surrounded by it.
Right up, right. 4 slip roll.
He says kids yearn for belonging, and if they can't get it from home, they'll get it from somewhere else, many times gangs.
You drop your height, you drop your weight, and you distribute your weight to either side of your body. That's called the slip, right?
It's why Malik has made it his mission to get to those kids first, so they can feel what he never did after he lost 3 brothers and a nephew to gun violence.
When I was 7, I watched my older brother, who's deceased now, get shot right in front of my face. These programs is a direct answer to the pain and the situations that I've been through. That's my way of processing those emotions when those kids come in and they look like Azim and I can save them.
In Malik's gym, boxing is life.
1, 2, 3.
Because it resembles life.
Right, left, right. 2 jabs right hand. Life is not fair, and I ain't here to prove it. I'm just here to move past it and live it.
And through discipline, dignity, and determination, he's teaching the younger generation how to take a punch and respond by fighting the good fight. Dan Grossman, Scripps News, Philadelphia.